Exciting news today. I finally got my book finished from Elvis in Japan, Elvis Presley LP records 1956 to 2018. Everything you wanted to know about Elvis Presley Japanese LPs, and a ton of stuff that you didn't want to know, and another ton of stuff that you probably never thought to ask about. And you can get this book at payhip.com, and I'll leave a link in the description below, and I'll also put a link on screen as well. And what I'm going to do in this video is take you through the book, just to show you a little bit of what's in there and what it's all about. So let's take a look. Okay, this is the book in the browser, Microsoft Edge, and here it is in the Kindle app. I'm going to use the Kindle app because it has this back button here, which makes it slightly easier to use than this one here, which is the browser, Microsoft Edge. So let's go back here, and first we're looking at the contents page. So that's what's in the book. I'll just show you what's in the first part of the introduction. Okay, let's go and have a look at this alphabetical index. This list goes from Almost in Love down to You'll Never Walk Alone. And let's click on one of these. Some pages have more information than others because some albums were released many times more than others. And the title at the top here is a link which takes you back to the alphabetical index. If we just scroll back to the previous page where the contents are, and let's go down to one of these series. Most of the book is taken up with the albums themselves, but after the 131 albums, there are also some other sections on OBs and different series, etc. So let's click on one of these series. Okay, so this section explains all about the 1973 poster series. And it gives you some details about what went into that series, and then further down you have the list of albums in the series, and then we have some pictures. So these are the 5 basic OB types that you got with this series. There is actually another one which I've pictured elsewhere, but that's quite an unusual one. So if you have an album in that series with the OB, it will probably have one of these 5 OBs. And only this one here with the text in the red strip came with a poster. None of the other ones came with a poster. Below that we have some examples of the posters. Here are some more posters, and below I've indicated which album they came with, and here are some more. Now the links in the second half of the book, like this one here, they will take you back to the contents page. Okay, so let's have a look at that album Elvis Now in more detail. So if we click on the list, the alphabetical index, scroll down to Elvis Now, and here we are. So what are we looking at here? At the top there you can see there is a list of 4 records. These are the 4 releases of Elvis Now in Japan. And the first one, SHP 6240, that was released on March the 25th, 1972. And then you can see it says GF. So GF means it was in a gatefold sleeve. There are a few abbreviations that I use, but they're all explained in the introduction. And beside that, in brackets, you can see the American release date, February the 20th, 1972. So I've included that just to show how much of a gap there was between the American album release and the Japanese album release. And then beside that, in red, you can see it says R2. So that's actually a rarity rating. So I've rated each album for its rarity from R1, which means it's very easy to find with the OB, up to R5, which is an album which is extremely hard to find with its OB, and obviously all the inserts that came with it, if there were any. Okay, so the first pressing of Elvis Now is not that difficult to find with the OB. And the other albums on the list, from numbers 2 to 4, they all have the same catalogue number, RCA 6120. The first one was released on April the 25th, 1973, and as you can see from the information there, it came with an insert and a poster. VMI is the manufacturer, that's Victor Musical Industries, and there's some information about the OB. It was a red, black and yellow OB with poster enclosed text. That was the text that I just pointed out earlier in the red diagonal strip. You can see this one has a rarity rating of 3, so it's a little bit more difficult to find this one because there was the poster there. So this R3 rating is for the album with the OB and the insert and the poster. Often the albums in the poster series turn up without the posters. The next one, number 3, is almost the same album. It came out in 1974. This time it just had the insert, and it has a red, black and yellow OB, but without the poster enclosed text. This one is actually more difficult to find because it was available for a very short time, so that one has a rarity rating of 4. And the last pressing of Elvis Now in Japan came out sometime in late 1975 or later, and again it has the same catalogue number, and this one just came with the insert, no poster, and this time it was manufactured by RVC Corporation, so you can see the letters there, RVC. Below those 4 releases it says tracks, same as the US album. So in such a case I have not listed all the songs because I figure that anybody interested in this book will be very familiar with the Elvis's discography, and they don't need me to tell them what songs are on Elvis Now. However, there are quite a few Japan-only albums, and in those cases I have actually listed all the songs. So let's look further down this page. So you can see there are 2 photographs, and all the photographs are captioned. So the one on the left is showing you SHP 6240, which is the front cover of the first release. And on the right side it says SHP 6240 back cover. So this is the same album, front cover and back cover. You can see that the back cover for Elvis Now is quite different, at least for the first release. Below that we have a couple more pictures, and this one on the left, it says this is the second version of RCA 6120. In other words, it's album number 3 up here. Okay, so number 2, 3 and 4 all have the same catalogue number, and this one is the second version. This is actually the rarest copy of Elvis Now. On the right side is the back cover of the RVC Corporation cover. This is the last release of Elvis Now. And then there's a little bit of text there which you can read if you want to. And if we go to the second page, there is more information on the same album. Again, you can just pause if you want to. You can see there's a link here to the Elvis in Person album. So if we click on that, it takes us to Elvis in Person, and you can just use the back button on the Kindle app if you want to go back to the previous page. So if I just click here, it takes us back to the previous page. In Microsoft Edge, you don't have that ability. So if I click on the alphabetical album index here, takes you to this page here, but there's no option to go back to where we were. So let's go back to the Kindle app. And as you can see, the next album in the list is number 64, He Touched Me. But let's go back to the top. So you can go to the alphabetical album index and look for one album at a time, or you can actually just use this link here, album number 1 to 131. And that takes you to the first album, and you can just start from album number 1 and work your way through one by one. But as I said before, if you click on the album title link, it will take you back to the alphabetical album index. So you can just look at any album you want in any order you like pretty easily. So there you go, from Elvis in Japan, Elvis Presley Japanese LPs, 1956 to 2018. Available now. It's a simple PDF file, so you should be able to read it on a web browser, or if you want to download the Kindle app that I used in the video, that is free to download. But there's a whole load of software that you can use to open a PDF file. It's not difficult. And so that's it. If you have any questions about the book, just drop me a line in the comments section below and I'll do my best to answer. Thanks a lot for watching. Take care. Cheers.